Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're located around the globe. My name is Una Vandenberg, and I am incredibly honoured and passionate and proud to be able to join you again alongside AML Watcher to bring you another amazing webinar, this time focused on the risks really that are prevailing in the AML landscape in MENA. Sanctions, terror financing, and illicit flows. We're going to be discussing all of those today. But just before I start, I just wanted to say that this past year, what I've really loved about the opportunity to work alongside AML Watcher is their mission really aligns with many of the professionals in our industry globally. It's to bring cutting-edge insights and tools to tackle money laundering, producing reports, producing these webinars to really discuss the key issues that are happening across the industry. So being able to have these academic discussions with industry professionals that are facing the issues day to day is absolutely an honor, and it's super exciting. So without further ado, I would love to introduce you to our two esteemed speakers today. First, and I do hope I pronounce your names correctly, we have Ahmed, Nagaty, Elgaza. Ahmed, would you like to kindly introduce yourself? Oh, can you hear me? Maybe we'll start with Sherif then. Oh, there you go.
Yeah. My name is Ahmed Elgaza. I am a banking and governance expert in the MENA region for more than 21 years. I have been working with many multinational banks, and I have been working in UAE for 12 years, and then the local Egyptian market, and now I am an instructor in the Egyptian Banking Institute under the Central Bank of Egypt umbrella to transfer the knowledge of risk and compliance to all the Egyptian banking sector.
I love that. Honestly, education is really at the core of what we do. It's so incredibly important. And, I was actually speaking at the UN recently, and what it all came back to is the only way to protect the vulnerable and to develop our controls is through education and training and ultimately experience as well. So Ahmed, thank you so much for joining us. I'm super excited for our discussion today. And secondly, but definitely not least, we have Sherif, Sultan, Elgendy. And Sherif, you have over 30 years experience in the industry.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. Good evening to everyone. Hi, Onaga. How are you? Ahmed, how are you? It's nice to meet all of you. Actually, my name is Sherif Sultan. I have banking experience for more than 30 years now. Started my work in banking sector in '93. I work in different segments and departments in bank sectors. I worked domestically here in Egypt and also in UAE. Right now, I'm giving all kind of learning and development training programs now, also with the EBI. And right now, maybe I'm going through the AI, especially the artificial intelligence, generative AI, and the digital banking transformation. And I think it's excellent opportunity to everyone to start to learn, because it's very excited. Meanwhile, I have a lot of experience in the retail banking and the AML and the international crime and the AML right now. So hopefully that it will be benefitly to all of us in this session, and welcome to everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. No, I have to say, I think one of the biggest challenges that you both and many of your colleagues in the industry have in MENA is geographically, you're at an epicenter of different evolving regulatory landscapes. There's a very fragmented landscape in respect of sanctions in MENA. Terrorist financing risk as well, bordering and also within, like in other jurisdictions around the world. But you have a very specific risk, obviously, within your jurisdiction. Illicit fund flows and trade-based money laundering, obviously cross-border illicit flows, trade finance, shipping, obviously various regional regulatory frameworks. And having worked in Asia for over 12 years, somebody said to me once, working in Asia is like working in 17 different countries because of the different regulatory environments. And in MENA, you also have those same challenges. Whilst there is some cohesion, there also is a lot of fragmentation there. And as you rightfully said there, Sherif, at the very end, AI and technology and collaboration, what is happening in MENA, you really are at the epicenter globally of digital transformation. And I couldn't be more excited about seeing what's happening with advanced analytics, data sharing, and regional cooperation in that regard. So we're going to get into all of those discussion points today. And I've just realized that between all of us, we've over 70 years experience in the industry. So if we can't answer these questions, we all need to go back to basics. So first question first, and this, I'll actually go to both of you on this question. If I can go to you first, Ahmed, and then to you, Sherif. Typologies are constantly evolving around the globe, but in particular, sanction evasion typology has really been observed in MENA as becoming much more sophisticated and complex. What are we seeing in respect of those latest typologies? And secondly, what can financial institutions do to proactively detect them?
The latest typologies for the sanctions evasion. We are now we are in one of the most important region regarding the wealth and the trading and everything. So we have a great exposure to the sanctions evasion and the money laundering. So the latest typologies for the sanctions evasions, which is the shell companies, which is these are often used to obscure the true ownership and the control of assets.
Yeah.
Sanctioned entities may use network of shell companies in neighboring countries or tax havens to conduct business. And we have also the other another typologies like the trade-based money laundering, which is the TPML.
Yeah.
These involves manipulating trade transactions to move money across borders. Techniques include falsifying documents related to shipping routes, goods, and prices. Also, a new typology also appear, which is the virtual assets. This rise because of the new cryptocurrency technology and other virtual assets has provided a new avenues for sanction evasions. These assets can be transferred quickly and anonymously across borders.
Yeah.
Uh,
If I may ask on that anonymity across borders, obviously, if we look at some of the recent political instabilities in the region, we're very aware from history that where we have political instability, a good example now would be, for example, Syria. We actually see a lot of tactics being employed, in particular, as you mentioned, TBML, shell companies, and informal financial networks being used as a way to evade sanctions. In your view, are how are the financial institutions staying on top of that? Is it something in terms of the typologies that is clear, or are we seeing new and more, how can I say this, more creative typologies coming through?
the problem now, the core problem is that the cryptocurrency is out of the central bank's radar. So it cannot be monitored, it cannot be reviewed. We cannot now we don't have any laws and regulations or any frameworks for the cryptocurrency. So cryptocurrency can be used in those hot areas of the world like Syria, when the terrorist or any other persons or individuals want to trade, they are using this mysterious methods like the cryptocurrencies to transfer money and accomplish their deals. So we will have a new typologies, of course, because the transactions volume become more and more complex, and we have a lot of challenges in the MENA region because this is our destiny. We have a lot of wealths and a lot of business activities and we are the central point which gather Africa and Asia and Europe. So we will always have a challenges and new typologies and new techniques will come from the traders to accomplish their deals. So the cryptocurrency, from my point of view, should be under a strict laws and regulations, monitors by the central banks. Otherwise, we will lose control.
Thank you for that, Ahmed. And actually, it's a really interesting point. And Sherif, if I may kind of bring that over to you. So I was reading earlier today about the new European AMLA, which is going to be coming into play early next year, the European Anti-Money Laundering Authority. And the new chair of the authority, Bruna, she has kind of set out her vision. And one of her visions actually was to not focus on increased regulation in the crypto digital asset space, but rather to focus initially on improving supervision. And obviously you can get that, chicken and egg, cart before the horse. But in respect of the challenges that we're seeing around sanction evasion, using cryptocurrency and digital assets, and there's many other typologies here, but do we have sufficient regulatory instruction in terms of how those different types of platforms can be exploited and different types of assets can be exploited to move monies across borders without detection? And do we need increased regulation, and maybe not so much regulation, but increased clarity or information on typologies from government agencies?
Now, what we have in the real scenario, on the real ground, that some territories, some countries follow the regulations, complied with the regulations. There is an inconsistency regarding following the regulation. My point of view, we need to develop some areas of those regulations, and we need to develop a technological platform or inventory of database internationally to be a reference for all the AML specialists. We need some sort of a reference or a technological solution for all the professionals worldwide in order to update the information instantly on this platform. This will give us a good control over it. We tried in the last 2 decades or 3 decades to facilitate the business procedure to the traders, to the stakeholders, but we actually this was not the right approach, because if you have a risk, you have to have a control.
Yep.
If we relax the control, we will face the trouble. So we saw a lot of banks were exposed to sanctions and fines, and we have, let's say, if we follow the right governance, we will reach the safest shore. But if we will not update or enhance our frameworks and regulations, I think we may find a lot of crises and troubles. We faced a lot of troubles in the last 2-3 decades because of the relaxed environment or a business environment regarding the laws and regulations. Our gift as a human, that we created laws and regulations in order to let's say in a good way, in order to find the harmony between us as the humans and entities to enhance the business environment. Otherwise, we may find a sudden, unexpected scenario. We may be not ready for it.
No, absolutely. And in terms of, Sherif, if I may kind of pass this over to yourself, one of the things that I'm quite conscious about, we've talked about TBMLs, and you really are in a very particular and nuanced situation in MENA in terms of TBML exposure. And we saw that, I'm not speaking about anything that's not known here. We saw that through FATF as well, a couple of years ago through the kind of the mutual evaluation, and TBML was called out as one of the biggest challenge areas facing, for example, the UAE. So, in respect of, front companies, Hawala networks, creative shipping practices, false documentation, can you go into a little bit more detail about how financial institutions and regulators can really disrupt some of these innovative, if I can say that, innovative evasion tactics in the sanctions arena, but in particular to support terrorism and anti-money laundering, or money laundering?
I believe that we can enhance the framework.
Sorry, I was going to ask Sherif if that's okay, Ahmed.
Yeah. I'll continue this point. We can have some sort of
go ahead.
We can have some sort of a reliable database for the trade. Yeah. For example, we have to have some sort of when we as from the banking perspective. I'll speak from the banking perspective. We used to make trade finances deals, which is handling the import and export of goods. So if we have a reliable database regarding the documentation and some sort of validation or verification for those documents, we will have a solid ground to stand for. If we have those database and we will be able to verify the deals, I think this will be a good control regarding the AML or the CFT. So we have to have some sort of an international platform for all the stakeholders or all the financial institutions in order to be updated. And we can this international platform with an innovative technological solution will enable the stakeholders and the users to verify and validate all the documents to avoid the forgery and falsification of those documents. So we need to have a good control for this to avoid the TPML. Otherwise, in the absence of those control, we will not be able to have any monitor regarding the illicit flows.
I totally agree. And if I may ask Sherif, with regards to the database, go ahead.
Yeah. I think that we can add a lot of things regarding the TBML, because it's actually right now we are facing a lot of problem. So we have to implement a trade-based AML frameworks that cross-check the trade documentation in the invoices and the bill of ladings and the letter of credit. And even now, I think that's a new technology now for using the shipping intelligence tools to monitor the vessel behavior, like the AIS activity and the maritime sanctions risks. Also, by using a new technology that's on focus on the dual use goods and goods originating from they stand for high risk countries, and this is something very important, especially the PEs that are facing the penalties, and like Syria and Iran. We are seeing now they are continuing to make the trade, but on the same time there should be a system, and this system, it could be monitored through the maritime and the AIS data integration systems, and it's under implementation now. That is a lot of collaboration with the maritime tracking platforms like the Windward and the Polestar. It's already they're working on it to detect the vessel movements, flag hopping, and the AIS signal disruptions. Otherwise, moreover, sorry, that is we haven't incorporate geospatial data and risk alerts for ports linked to sanctioned regimes. And regarding this, I think now the new technology regarding the cryptocurrency, there is a lot of risk management on it, We have a partner with blockchain analytics firms like Elliptic. This is to trace the virtual asset transactions and how they identify the wallet connection to sanctioned entities. A lot of conduct of enhancing the scrutiny for customers dealing in digital assets. So I think that on the incoming period, we will see a lot of new functions through a lot of things to make the advanced transaction monitoring through the red flags and the suspicious patterns. We have a monitor cross-border transaction now for the unexpected intermediaries or unusual trade flows that it's already going on. So I think that the TBML controls now it's taking a lot of care from all the country and
Yeah.
PEs, especially from the US.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sherif, if I may kind of, and that nicely segued in kind of looking at kind of the fuller picture. So from TBML to the wider kind of screening requirements. And, in particular, and one of the things that, we need to talk about obviously is proliferation finance in the region, but with various sanctioned groups within the MENA region, whether it's Al Qaeda, ISIS, Hezbollah, they involve a number of Arabic names, and then we are seeing a high risk of false positive and sanction screening in the region. How can organizations better address this more effectively? And I know a lot of people will jump to the answer of, technology, but where, in terms of algorithms and fuzzy matching, have you seen any good practices that people could actually incorporate to better understand the sanction regime, the names on the list, and the screening challenges, and how we can improve those?
Actually, I think is that we have a problem already now for how the sanctions screening involving on the individual with Arabic names, particularly when they are dealing with sanction group like Hezbollah or the Muslim Brotherhood or something like this. You have to implement a very good, robust name screening technologies. And now it's already now we are using advanced screening tools capable of handling the Arabic names variations in like the transliterations and diacritics and abbreviations, leverage fuzzy logic and AI algorithms now to at least to have to reduce the false positives by identifying slight variations in spelling. Like when this in Arabic names, Muhammad, we can spell it with double M, sometimes with E and A, sometimes with no M, with no E, with no A. So right now we have to implement machine learning models to differentiate between the common names and sanctioned individual based on the contextual data. Right now, there is a contextual data and risk-based filtering. It's already implemented. It's integrate the additional contextual identifiers such as date of birth, nationality, the passport number, address into the screening process. Now we have to prioritize the alerts where multiple data points match, reducing the false positive. And this is something very important because there's a lot of people now with the same names, even for the if I would say for my name Sherif Sultan Elgendy, maybe there is a match in my name with several people. So we have to differentiate and check a new methods, okay, to reduce the false positive caused by the name only. So I don't have to depend only on the name in matches.
Absolutely.
So we have to use a risk-based approach to review the potential matches based on factors like geographic exposure and the business line as well.
Yeah.
So moreover, another point is that now I think that more the financial institutions now and especially for the banks and even the institutions who, which it's screening and do a lot of screening for the names and so on. They employ the teams with linguistic and cultural expertise to interpret the and assesses the match involving Arabic names accurately. And this is something it's very, very important right now.
Absolutely. And one of the things, kind of going back to basics, is that we shouldn't ever neglect to focus on is investing in local expertise. Employing skilled persons within the region who understand, as you rightly pointed out, the cultural and linguistic specifics, so we can make sure that they're conducting those secondary reviews and resolving potential matches. And that, in addition, obviously, to collaborating with the right external screening partners, and obviously doing a thorough root cause analysis is going to be key to success here. So thank you very, very much for that incredibly insightful feedback there, Sherif. Then obviously, moving forward, so we've talked about TBML. We'll talk about, actually, maybe first, Ahmed, if I may go to you just before we move on, to talk about proliferation finance. Since we've talked about TBML, obviously we are seeing a lot more dual use good challenges, even the likes of microwaves. With the evolving utilization of technology, and obviously different components use case in terrorism, how challenging is that continual learning and upgrading within the teams to understand how peripheral finance is evolving? And do you think organizations are struggling with that?
We have a lot of challenges, especially in this part of the world. In the Middle East, we will have a challenge for the political polarization. So, but this we will have challenges for the complexity of the risk will increase regarding this one. And we have a lot of challenges like the fragmented regulatory landscape. The MENA region compromises multiple countries with diverse regulatory environments. We have conflicts and political polarization, which can lead to inconsistent informants of sanctions and anti-money laundering regulations. And we have a high risk of sanction evasion regarding this, because in conflict zone like what you mentioned in Syria, we have a lack of effective governance and oversight, which should make it easier to monitor the sanctioned entities in order to exploit the gap in the system. So this is a regulatory challenge we face, and we are facing also operational challenges regarding the disrupted communication and coordination, and also resources constraint. We have also increase in the costs of and compliance burden. We have a higher compliance cost regarding this point. We need to enhance our due diligence and monitoring in high risk areas, which will increase our operational cost for financial institutions. Regarding also regulatory scrutiny, our financial institutions are facing high scrutiny from international regulators, leading to increase of compliance burdens and potential penalties for non-compliance. So we also have a technological challenge, because the technological challenge, we have a gap between us, our region, and other regions. So we need to enhance our technological capability.
Absolutely. And then, so thank you so much for, and obviously then one of the other kind of key challenges in the region, and again, having mentioned living in Asia for so long, is there are the region MENA, like Asia, is a hub for migrant workers. And we are seeing obviously increased exposure of those workers to financial crime networks through, should I say, absolutely no fault of their own, where we're seeing an increasing amount of number of bank accounts wanting to be used by third party illicit actors who want to move funds, and inadvertently these individuals become money mules. Secondly, these individuals, obviously, they use a lot of informal transfer systems so that they can move money back home. And thirdly, and this is something, exploitation, and putting aside the money mule network, what we're seeing is a lot of these individuals being exploited by their own families or family members who are basically using their accounts and withdrawing monies or taking monies from their accounts. So how do we better protect migrant workers within, and this isn't just a MENA question, I suppose this is more a global question. How do we better protect migrant workers so that they don't become conduits for money laundering, or indeed become vulnerable to financial attacks even within their own families? And what can banks better do to identify this?
When I used to live in UAE for 12 years, and we have a variety of nationalities and culture, around more than 190 nationalities. So it's a different backgrounds, different cultures. So
No, absolutely. You're absolutely right. The different backgrounds and different cultures, but I think one of the biggest gaps is education.
Yes, but we have a cornerstone that we can use here. Now we can use the biometric features depending on the technological revolution that we are using now. So we have all our fingerprint on our mobiles. There is a technological significant enhancement in KSA and UAE. They used to rely on the eyes regarding the biometric approval and authentication and authorization. So we need to create some sort of a database, and this database we need to use the technological control in order to protect all of those variety of workers. At the end, we have different background and different culture and different level of educations, but we have a natural human features that we can rely on. Our biometric features,
Yeah.
we can do it. Yeah, I think we can use this as a control.
Absolutely. And we actually have a question, if you don't mind, from the audience. And I think we've actually spoke to this already in quite a bit of detail. But just to make sure that we've rounded back on it for everybody's awareness. The question from Ahmed Al-Habab, I hope his name pronounced it correctly. How can we solve the large number of false positives, specifically in daily screening? And I think we mentioned that as well. Maybe we could talk to kind of continual list updates and also enhancing screening technology. I don't know if either of you want to take that question.
I think that if you are going to reducing the number of false positive, especially in fields like the cybersecurity and fraud detection and data analysis, can be quite challenging, but it's crucial for improving the efficiency and the accuracy. And so, first of all, we have to improve the algorithms, how we enhance the algorithms used for detection, like the machine learning models, especially those using deep learning. It can be trained to better distinguish between true positive and false positive. The data and clean and relevant data is used for training models. The contextual analysis, and this is something very important to us, how information into the detection process. So you have to understand the context, and this is could help in making a more accurate decision. of course, the regular updates, and this is something very important, to continuously update and refine the detection models and rules based on the latest data and trends. Uh, Latest, but it's not the last thing, and this is something very important. And usually, I'm saying that end of the day, the machine learning and the AI, they will not, under any circumstances, will challenge the human being process and the screening. So the human review is very important. How to involve the human analysts to review and validate the results of the automated system, especially in the critical cases. So I think that we will have to depend on the human and not to depend at all on all the machine learning and the AI. Hopefully that I already answered the question.
No, no, no. It was a very, very thorough answer, and I think it nicely brings us in then to about effective collaboration. So there's a lot of challenges as we've talked to in respect of evolving typologies and TBML, proliferation finance, sanction regimes, terrorist financing. How effective then, from a regional perspective, has been collaboration amongst authorities? And I know that this sometimes can be quite a tech or a sensitive subject to discuss, but how effective within the MENA region have the various authorities been in collaborating to discuss, address, and to address risks that are happening across the region? Ahmed, I don't know if you want to
From my
take that
point of
one.
view,
Yep.
yes, from my point of view, we are in the era of the data analysis and generative AI. So I think we need to create some sort of an international database in order to enhance and conquer this collaboration. So I'm standing up and say that the technological solution will be the cornerstone of this one. So I think we need to rely more on technology, enhancing the database, enhancing the frameworks of the data governance. We need. I am seeing EU and the data governance is a role model for us in order to follow. So, in order to reach up this level of efficient governance, we need to go to this road and and go to this approach in order to cover this point. This is my point of view. We have to take advantage of what we have, what a wonderful and efficient tool we have in this era, which is the technological revolution.
But how do you think that organizations or institutions at the kind of regulatory level are taking on board those, how can we say, those technology advancements? Like, have they got the capacity, the knowledge, the skill sets at the moment to incorporate those? And is that also, the same across all of the different countries within the region? We spoke about UAE already, and we know that the technology advances that are happening there are by far some of the most advanced globally. But if you look at other countries within the region, can we really compare, and are we sharing that technology and sharing that information so that we're all benefiting from it? Is there a challenge in doing that?
I'll give you a simple example. If we are seeing the economy as a body, so the vein will be the banking system, and the blood will be the flow of fund. So I believe that we have gone through a long journey of accumulation of experience and knowledge in the banking industry in the Middle East, and we used to learn from the multinationals banks that came to our region and transferred the knowledge to this generation. So I believe that the technological gap can be reduced, and we can follow the model in order to have some sort of the technology which will enable the banking system as a whole to be connected We have connected to ourselves. Yeah, let's say the correspondent banks as an example. We use the same Swift system. We use the same tools. We have a lot of commonality and a lot of technological similarity, and we can rely on this, and we can build on this. There are leaders in the industry. We can follow the leaders and we can enhance the region. But if we take it from the macro level, it's for all our the beneficial the beneficial part will be for all of us. So we need to have some sort of an integrated structure and a technological system which link all of us. This will take us to a magnificent point from my point of view.
I totally agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. We need to learn and we need to grow and support each other. And information is not power. Rather, when we share it, we're going to be able to make much more strategic changes and impactful changes and detection within the region. So, just conscious of time, I believe we have around 15 minutes left. So maybe if we could jump, we talked quite a bit about sanctions. Maybe Sherif, just before we move on from sanctions, could we talk about secondary sanctions and how they're impacting compliance strategies for financial institutions? Obviously, it's a very challenging area, both the identification and managing secondary sanctions. So what have you been seeing, and what could you maybe give in terms of advice to the financial institutions in the region about how they can better incorporate the detection of these into their compliance frameworks and regimes?
Yeah, actually, right now, the regulatory technology now, it's referred to use how to use the technology in the business and the financial institutions, and how efficiently with the regulatory requirement in areas such as the AML and the CFT. So now they are using the artificial intelligence, the big data analytics, and even the blockchain. So they enhance the compliance now, the cost efficiency, they improve the accuracy, and even the real-time monitoring. So right now, with a large workforce now, especially like in the GCC, like UAE and Saudi Arabia, how they are monitoring the cross-border remittance and the KYC, how they are using the AI and the data analytics to streamline onboarding. They are facilitating, as we see, the life. So the secondary sanctions now are significantly impacting the compliance strategy for the financial institution in the MENA region by increasing the risk exposures and the complexity of the operation. So they start already to heighten the due diligence. The financial institution, I think they must to conduct enhance the due diligence, it's EDD, on the transactions involving the counterparties, the jurisdictions or sectors linked to primary sanctions targets, to avoid the inadvertent breaches, which it's already we can see it. The de-risking, it's something very important to us to how to mitigate the exposure. Some banks now are opting to de-risk by restricting the business with high risk customers, entities or regions, particularly those with ties to sanctions countries like Iran and Syria. And as we see right now, what we see is happening now in Syria, it will need a more control. So the sanction screening should be upgraded. The institutions are investing now in advanced screening tools powered on AI to identify the connection to sanctions entities. And this is something very important, especially how they are reducing the false positive and ensuring the compliance. Moreover, we are facing a problem now regarding the trade and the corresponding banking risk. and this is something it's very very important. How the secondary sanctions pose challenges for the trade finance and the corresponding banking institutions to increase the scrutiny of the cross border.
Yep.
So I think that we have to do a lot of things regarding the driving MENA financial institution to enhance their compliance strategy by adopting the advances technology.
Absolutely. And that brings us then over on to obviously regional data sharing initiatives. And I'd love to, Ahmed, if I may get your input on this, talk about regional data sharing initiatives within MENA, and ways in which they can significantly support us in enhancing detection and prevention of multi-jurisdictional money laundering. So, for example, cross-border information exchange, decentralized databases. We talked about enhanced risk profiling, strengthened incorporation. But what I would like to actually talk about here is joint analytics and investigation. So what could you see in terms of multi-agency collaboration and how this could be improved? And what are your thoughts around the collaboration? And one of the key reasons as well, I've mentioned AMLA, so it's important that we discuss this because AMLA is going to be looking at FIU, a harmonization across Europe, and this is going to be a very, very strong deterrent. And I'm wondering what's going to be then reflected in the MENA region and potentially Asia to see how we take those initiatives and those learnings to basically reinforce and strengthen our detection networks. So, Ahmed, I don't know if you have anything further you'd like to add to that.
Yes, I would like to add an important point here. In the framework of the bank, we have an internal AML function or an internal compliance function. And we have also with the regulatory bodies another unit for the AML and CFT, and we have another unit with the government itself. So the integration between those three parties will add a significant role or a significant enhancement in the process. We have to have some sort of a collaboration in the information. We have to have some sort of a facilitation in the flow of information between the law enforcement, local law enforcement, and the banks. In addition to the international bodies, let us see if we see ourselves as a human. We have come across a great civilization from 0 to 1000% because we have an accumulation of experience. So those accumulation of experience will enable us to go through a bright future if we have some sort of a collaboration together. On the local perspective, we have to have some sort of integration between the law enforcement units, AML units in the government, and the regulatory bodies and the banks, the banking sector, through an innovative technological solution. From my point of view, this is from the local perspective. On the international perspective, we have to develop another technological solution for this also. If we have an easy flow of information between all of us, I think we will be able to have a reliable control in this part. So this is my point of view.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. So just conscious of time, and we have a few minutes left. We wouldn't be able to finish off this webinar if we didn't ask the infamous question around ESG and AML. And in fact, AML Watcher recently did a webinar specifically focused on this and the real challenges between ESG incorporation and AML, given that one is so future looking from an ESG perspective, whereas AML is a real time happening today issue. So just on that, in MENA, how do we see or how do we foresee ESG obligations and regulations being introduced alongside AML and CFT compliance? And is it something firms are looking at the moment? Or is it something that many people are still struggling with trying to understand how two quite polar challenges or polar issues are coming together in terms of the here and now versus future state and tomorrow?
It's a very good topic to speak about. We have a lot of, me and Sherif, we have a lot of input regarding this one. So I think we will need another full webinar to cover all of this. But we will try to make it short. I'll tell my points, and then I'll give also Sherif space to give his opinion about this. We have now an effective solid framework for AML and CFT, and the direction, the worldwide direction to ESG regulations. We have to go through this. This is for the benefit of all of us. I think there is a lot of commonality, and we will not find any contradiction between the AML framework and the ESG framework, but maybe some transaction, the complexity of transaction, the traders will finance the AML, the ESG projects, or the ESG new initiatives through AML. So we need to work on this part in order to cover. We need to have some sort of a control regarding this one. This will take us back to what I was saying from the beginning of the webinar, that technology will facilitate the control for all of us.
Perfect.
I'm giving Sherif the chance to tell his opinion as well.
Yes, of course. I would say yes, it's okay. I do agree with Ahmed for everything like this, what he said. But I think is that we have more to depend on more of rich tech, how the rich tech, or the regulatory technology that is referred to use the technology. And I think there is a lot of it leverage advanced technology, like when you are using the artificial intelligence for pattern detection and automation, how we are using the big data analytics to process the large volume of compliance data, the blockchain, as I said before. I think that by using this, we will enhance the compliance, how to automate the reporting, the monitoring, and the screening process. And this will impact on the cost efficiency. So it will reduce the cost of the manual compliance operations and improve the accuracy of all the information. And also, it should be done through the real-time monitoring, how to detect the suspicious activities and faster and more accurately. This is it's very briefly how we can add value for this topic.
Absolutely. Well, I think today, between both of you, Sherif and Ahmed, we have gone through the full kind of overview of the challenges that are being faced, from layering through complex ownership structures, TBML, shadow networks, cryptocurrency and digital asset challenges, human aid diversions, front companies, shell companies, dual use goods, hawala, and other non-traditional financial systems, false documentation, cultural and religious networks. MENA is positioned in incredibly challenging and we could say precarious situation in terms of the challenges that are facing financial institutions. And there's also obviously a number of individuals as well within the region, vulnerable individuals, including migrant workers, as we've mentioned, who unfortunately do get targeted with, money mule situations, and also are quite vulnerable to financial abuse within their own communities. So it's really, really important that financial institutions continue to play a pivotal role, but we can only do that with top-down, in my opinion, information from the government authorities, the agencies, the regulatory bodies, giving us more information, and the FIUs working together, and the law enforcement to give real-time information on evolving typologies to organizations. So without further ado, I would like to thank you both indeed so much for today. If I may, Ahmed and Sherif, in 1 minute, could you both quickly just give your quick takeaway from today's session? Ahmed, would you like to go first?
Yeah.
Actually, I would like to thank AML Watcher for this wonderful organization, and I would like to deeply thank you for the management of this webinar and your team. Really, I am astonished, and I would like to participate more with all AML Watcher team regarding any webinar in the future. It was very informative and it was a fruitful discussion. And really thank you for your effort. And thank you. I would like to thank AML Watcher for everything. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you so much, Ahmed and Sherif.
Yeah, thank you so much, Oleg. It was my pleasure to attend this webinar, and I do appreciate your effort in such organization. It's more than excellent, and thank for the AML Watchers. Thanks so much for the participant. I know maybe the time it was not enough. I know because there is a lot of topics. I know we can discuss. But hopefully to see you again and again, and hope that we already added value by giving information to our colleagues around all the sectors and around all the world, wishing for you and all of you all the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you both so much. We couldn't have done this without you. And yes, we covered a lot of ground. So just for our viewers, straight after this webinar, we will actually be hosting the Tonight Show with AML Watcher, which is a brand new concept. And it's going to be straight after this. So stay tuned for that one. We also, AML Watcher will be heading to Dubai this February. So again, registrations are open. You're all invited. And you can direct message AML Watcher for details. Last but not least, but incredibly importantly, AML Watcher is producing reports and analytics of evolving typologies. And there is a Pacific content piece on MENA region, which was recently published. So please go to the AML Watcher website and check that out. So without further ado, Ahmed, Sherif, thank you so much indeed for your time today. Much appreciated. There's a very, very broad range of discussion points. So thank you for your time, and I'm wishing everybody a wonderful day ahead. Thank you.